crude and from renewables now to LNG. And to talk about that, joining me now on the show is Kenneth. He's Associate Editorial Director, Asia LNG S&P Global. Kenneth, thank you so much for joining us. And if you look at the numbers that we've seen for the month of May and for June as well, the expectation is that India's demand for LNG and the imports therein are on a rise.
So India's appetite for LNG has not abated in the last year. What we have seen in the first 5 months of the year is a 25% volume growth of imports, surpassing 10 million tons. And that's higher than the same period that we saw last year by 25%. The key factor supporting import growth for LNG is, of course, prices. And LNG importers in India, as well as other regions like China, continue to be extremely price sensitive due to the replaceability of LNG from competing fuels. So LNG needs to be cheaper in the international market in order to stimulate demand. And we've seen that at least in the first half of this year, where India had a voracious appetite to buy LNG off the spot market in large amounts. And this really supported growth, at least in 2024 so far. So what we are looking at would be whether lower prices in the LNG market could result from increased supply from international LNG suppliers in the US, in Qatar, over the next few years, that could keep international LNG prices low, which would in turn continue to support demand growth for India. I think it is too early to say that LNG appetite for India will wane compared to in previous years, because domestic gas production as well as production from other competing fuels like coal, naphtha, and LPG still isn't sustaining at a very strong level. So we need to monitor this demand growth and just keep a track on how low prices can continue to go for LNG.
Kenneth, I have one more question for you, and this is about the India energy policy. How do you see that changing? Because now there are options, and as you said, India is a swing buyer with various countries here. What is it that you think India needs to do now for a proper mix?
I'm hesitant on providing advice to the government. Of course, there has been a lot of talk around a change in the GST regime that would stimulate and unlock a new wave of demand. That has been considered and been talked about for a number of years. I think other reforms, with regards to more transparency over pipeline gas capacity, could also be considered. On the LNG front, certainly there could be a more concerted effort to increase the transparency and monitor LNG inventory levels across terminals a lot more significantly, and this would help companies importing LNG to accurately assess the demand and supply situation for the upstream LNG cargoes.
We take that point well. Well, yes, change in GST would stimulate the markets here, and transparency and monitoring terminals and pipelines when it comes to gas, another thing that perhaps S&P has its mind on. Kenneth, thank you as always for joining us and making sense of what's happening with the energy markets globally and especially India as well. But with that, it's a wrap on this.